influential online architecture, interiors, and design magazine. And what does that mean? Well, we're one of the top 5,000 websites in the world. That's any website in the world. One of the 1,000 most commented websites in the world as well. Part of being a digital magazine is that we have a very direct relationship with our readers. So on every Dezeen article, people can comment and can kind of have a discussion about that, which our writers and editors get involved with as well. In terms of numbers, we get 3 million visitors each month, which is about 10 million page views. We've got 450,000 newsletter subscribers. I said we were global. We publish articles in English, so our audience is predominantly in English-speaking countries. Europe's our biggest audience, and Americas, Asia, Oceania, and Africa at the bottom. USA and the UK are our biggest audiences, followed by India, Canada, Australia, and so on. And being a digital brand, of course, we're also on social media. So Instagram is a massive platform for us. We've got 2 million followers on Instagram, 1 million on Facebook, and coming up to 1 million on Twitter and Pinterest too. We're quite proud that we've been featured in 2 Apple product launches. When Apple launch a new product, they have some content they want to show on the devices. So this was from the launch of the new MacBook a few years ago. They featured Dezeen. That's actually the old version of our website, which shows it's actually quite a long time ago now. That's good for us because as a design media brand, to be recognized by a company with the kind of design pedigree of someone like Apple is great. It was also a massive publicity for us. This was live streamed around the world. Unfortunately, our servers couldn't cope with it. So the live stream went up, a bunch of Apple fanboys tried to check out Dezeen, and our servers crashed and no one could check out what it was. Since then, we've upgraded our servers, and that shouldn't happen anymore. This is our office. We're based in London, like I said. There are about 30 of us in London, and we also have a small team in New York, 3 people in New York. That's the Dezeen team there. And oh, we also have a robot. Well, it's not really a robot, but we use algorithms. So being a digital magazine, while all of our content is selected by our editors and our journalists and written by them as well, a lot of the related content that we show on the site is powered algorithmically. So we use a machine learning algorithm which tracks what people have clicked on, what they like, and then serves up content which it thinks people are more likely to be interested in. So if you're more interested in interiors rather than design, you're likely to see more of that. Robots, algorithms haven't taken over the job of journalists yet. Maybe one day in the future they will do. But when it comes to efficiently serving people content that they're likely to click on, they're already better at it than humans are. And I described Dezeen as a magazine, and that's how we started, and that's the core of our business. But we're really more of a kind of design, digital media brand now. So as well as Dezeen magazine, we have a number of other different kind of arms to the company. Dezeen Jobs is our recruitment site, and Dezeen Awards is an awards program that we launched last year, in fact, and we're into our 2nd edition. Dezeen Jobs launched in 2008, and one of the most popular recruitment boards for architecture, design, jobs. It costs just £100 to place an ad, undercutting most other job sites. The thinking behind this, which is something which goes into a lot of things that Dezeen does, is we want to be accessible, we want to be affordable, we want everyone to access us. So some of the world's biggest design firms use Dezeen Jobs, but we also want young designers who are maybe hiring their first ever member of staff to be able to use us and for it to be affordable. And then Dezeen Awards, which we launched last year, was amazingly successful. We had about 3,500 entries from all over the world in our first ever year, which was amazing. This year, we actually beat that. We got 4,500 entries. And again, that's a photograph from the awards ceremony that we did last year at the Tate Modern in London, in the Herzog and de Meuron design building there. And again, the idea with Dezeen Awards, there are loads of design awards, obviously, around the world. With Dezeen Awards, we wanted ours to be kind of truly accessible. We wanted it to be affordable. We wanted everyone to enter, however big they are. So we made it affordable for that reason. And then this year, we've just announced a brand new initiative, which is called Dezeen Day, which is our first ever international design and architecture conference. This will take place on the 30th of October, which is the same day as the Dezeen Awards ceremony this year. We were thinking if people are flying in from around the world to attend the awards ceremony, it would be nice to give them something else to do in the day, as well as a great party at the end of the day. So we're programming a series of topics, of talks, of panel discussions. And really, we want to use this as a way of kind of putting our mission statement, which is to kind of set the global design agenda on a stage. So topics which are super interesting to us as journalists and popular on Dezeen, the circular economy, new materials, the future of our cities, design education as well, and also entrepreneurialism, running design businesses, how you do that and how you do it successfully. We haven't announced the speakers yet. They will be announced soon, but we have got some really great names lined up, so keep a lookout for that. And so that's a kind of overview of what kind of Dezeen is and what we do. We describe our approach to journalism as active journalism. And what I mean by that is we don't want to just report on the design world, but we also want to have a positive influence on it as well. And we do that through a number of different initiatives. Good Design for a Bad World was a series of talks and videos and editorial content that we launched a couple of years ago together with Dutch Design Week in Eindhoven, which was really about exploring how design can tackle the really big issues facing our planet. Designers generally, I think, are quite positive. They're looking to make a positive change in the world. But how can design solve something like terrorism or the refugee crisis or climate change, obviously? So that was a series of talks that we held at Dutch Design Week. Being a digital brand, we live streamed them. I think 125,000 people tuned in to watch the live stream. And we followed that up a year later with a one-off talk about designing for the Anthropocene. The Anthropocene being a kind of term that people are using now to describe the current geological era, where the biggest impact is not natural forces, but is human. So if we are living in the Anthropocene, how can designers shape that era, and how can we avoid catastrophe, basically? Another big topic that is really important to us is the issue of gender equality. The design industry is not equal at all in this respect. This started, we did a survey. We looked at the 100 biggest architecture practices in the world. And just by looking at the staff pages on their websites, looked at the ratio of men and women, and found that of the 100, only 3 of the 100 were led by women, and women made up only 10% of the most senior positions at these practices. So Move the Needle was a campaign that we launched to try to make a change in that respect. Actually, one of the seeds for the idea came from one of the talks at Dutch Design Week that I talked about just now. One of the panelists was the Belgian curator Jan Bolen, was talking about how the future of design is female, because more and more attendees of design schools are women instead of men. The problem with that was, we realized, and actually it was pointed out to us, that the panel was all male. It was an all-male panel. From that point on, we decided, okay, we can't do that anymore. Dezeen's not going to do any all-male panels. So that was one of the things that we decided to do, that we can make a difference. And the campaign was getting other architects to pledge to do the same. I should point out that Dezeen Awards was one of the first architecture design awards programs to have a true 50-50 split on the jury between men and women. We had a jury of 75, and we managed to get a 50-50 split. But that, I guess the highest profile result was Foster & Partners, who pledged to tackle diversity in their firm.